transmission will not be broadcast.
As for fighting with the rebels, of course, I didn't pick up anything more dangerous than a ballpoint pen.
People ran back and told the guys, like, you're not going to believe this. Everybody's here. So get ready for something way more intense than we're anticipating.
I was just wondering how you justify his executions without trial.
I don't see any reason to use obscenity unless it's used directly at that.
And it doesn't matter whether you're 29 or 69 or whether you're male or female. It's the best person for the job we should be looking at.
They feel frustrated and impotent in today's society. This is a very strong and marked characteristic of the beats.
And good afternoon and welcome to another edition of UWindsor's The Shake-Up on CJAM 99.1 FM, redefining radio in Windsor and Detroit. I'm Paul Chislett, and I'm happy that you're with us again. I was going to say redefining chaos in Windsor and Detroit just for Mary, but I didn't, but I did. So for the last 2 years, just getting right down to it, for the last 2 years, we were sure to cover what had become known on campuses around the country as Israeli Apartheid Week, a time to press for recognition of Palestinian human rights in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. We had to go to David Heap or Wendy Goldsmith in London, Ontario, or Sandra Rush in Toronto to talk about activities on other campuses, and especially during the flotillas to Gaza. This year, thanks to a lot of hard work, Palestinian Human Rights Week kicks off on March 25th here on the UWindsor campus. And with me in the studio to talk about the week are Hagar, Mohammed, and Hassam. Welcome.
Hi,
It's great to have you on the program. And because, you know, there really hasn't been a presence, like a whole week of activities, for Palestinian human rights, I figure this must be a pretty exciting time, especially looking at the lineup of speakers that you have.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wanted to know what it's been like to organize the week, and how has the meaning of the event touched any of you personally? So let's start with just what it was like. I know it was a lot of work, but maybe if you have any thoughts about what it was like organizing.
Just to start off, organizing, it was very hectic to begin with. We had to do we put on a lot of work. We had to meet up a lot of times. We were meeting everywhere, coffee shops, school, on weekends, just to try to get it together. It started with just the four of us, Hussam, Mohammed al-Sheikh, and Mohammed al-Mu'ayyid, and myself. And then all of a sudden, we found just last week, we had a whole group of people, around 17 to 20 people, helping us out. So that was great. And if you guys want to...
Yeah, I mean, like, if any of our members are listening, I just like, from the executives here, we just like to say thank you. You know, you guys have really helped us out. You guys have come through. We're proud of what we're doing, and we're happy that we're able to show this on March 5th. Sorry, just to correct you, Paul.
What did I say?
You said March 28th.
Oh my God! How did I get that? Yeah, March 5th.
So it's just March 5th. So thanks everybody once again.
Oh, where did I get March? I even have it written down here, for crying out loud. That's pretty bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
So tell me, I know a couple of you have some ties to Palestine, and I'm wondering what it's like to, carry that with you, and especially what it's like when you're organizing this week in support of Palestinian human rights.
Well, it's quite a personal conflict to me. You know, I've had family members who have passed away because of the conflict. Both my grandfathers. My father and mother grew up in the ghettos in Lebanon. Arabic, they're called mukhayamat. The Palestinian ghettos, where Palestinians were treated horribly. Water wasn't good. No electricity. Water wasn't good. Water was horrible.
Understatement.
Understatement, eh? Yeah. So it's a tough situation. And my dad, even till today, he's a big, strong guy, but he still has some troubles telling me the stories about what he went through. But from what I know, my dad was dragged out at one point and dragged in front of the streets and out into the streets and lined up on the wall to be shot down because he was Palestinian. It's been a bad time. My mom used to tell me how militia and militant groups used to run up to her apartment and threaten to kill them. You know, it's very personal to me. And now I love my parents, and I have family back home in Palestine. I've been to Palestine once when I was 7. I enjoyed it. It's beautiful. People there are great, but the treatment of Palestinians within the occupied territories, within Israel itself, the refugees, it's a horrible situation. And I remember when we went there, I went through the checkpoints and I was given heck. And on my way back, we were leaving the airport, Tel Aviv. They wanted to keep me longer. They wanted to delay our flight because my name was Mohammed. So I want to say racist, if that's all right. It's very racist, the system over there. And it's just a very personal issue to me. And so I think Hassam has a story for you guys.
Nothing. To be honest, yeah, of course, I'm Palestinian myself, but there's nothing there's no personal ties directly to Palestine itself. I've never been there. I've been to Lebanon. I've visited the Mukhayyamat, as Hamoudi said. But for what I know, I guess I support the humanitarian cause, right? If anything is going on in the world that shouldn't be going on, I would like to support it in any way that I can. Palestine is one of the main issues, just because I have my family, my dad, my mom, they went through personal things in Lebanon, and their families went through things in terms of being displaced from Palestine. So I guess I'm more inclined to help out Palestinians in this humanitarian crisis, but I'm also a supporter of any other type of humanitarian crisis. I definitely go out there and help out and do anything I can.
So you recognize the injustice, setting aside the nationalities, ethnicities, religion, you recognize injustice wherever you see it. You want to speak out?
Wherever we can help out, we try.
So you decided, I think it started out as Israeli Apartheid Week.
It did.
And then it's now Palestinian Human Rights Day. So how did that come about?
Well, at first, actually, it was supposed to be, so it was supposed to be Israeli Apartheid Week. And actually, me and Hajar were pretty, we wanted to go through with that. And then a couple of things happened. I guess we had some influence from the president, a few things basically. Different presidents, different organizations were kind of like, you know what, if you keep it a little less confrontational, then we'll be able to be more productive, just simply because not too many people are going to be able to come to something that's so confrontational and not be affected or not feel like it's biased. So to keep it a little, I guess, a little more peaceful, and people are more open to listen to what's going on.
Yeah, that's really what happened. But as well, my colleague forgot to mention the point that we're trying to not, how can I put this, not wreck the image of the whole week. And we're still having the same information out there. We just didn't want that the problems that the UFT faces in Toronto or Western or anything like that. We just wanted to keep it purely about the message about the humanitarian crisis in Palestine, and we just wanted to get that out to the students because it's very important for people to understand what's been going on, and it's not just a religious conflict, it's a humanitarian crisis overall.
So a little bit of controversy in it, but you've managed to...
Yeah, actually, we went through, I think 3 names. We ended up, first it was 4 names.
It was a couple of days until
it was Israeli Apartheid. Actually, we went to a coffee shop and spent 4 hours debating on what the name should be. It was Israeli Apartheid Week, and then it became Israeli Occupation Week, and then it became some extremely elaborate name, and then eventually we cut it down to Palestinian Human Rights Week, and we went with it.
It's a pretty interesting process when you try to determine what seems like simple things as titles or themes, right? And
you'd think it'd be a lot simpler.
And in the process of doing that, do you think did that bring your group closer together? Did it cause further dissension, or I have a feeling it wasn't that, but what effect did that have, having that struggle just over a theme?
In a weird way, it brought us all together. Before we were just 4 random people that would meet up and talk about the issue. Now we're friends and we contact one another personally, and we hang out, and it was good. It brought the group together, brought the executives together, and helped us bring other friends in together. So we're like a tight-knit community now, you know what I mean? When we see each other on campus, when we see each other off campus, we're always, hi, how's it going? You know what I mean? And it's good, and it did bring us together this whole week.
So it brought you together as a group, and that always helps, of course, needless to say. And what about what allies did you find on campus and in the community as you were planning, or was this pretty much within your group? And by allies, I know word went around for endorsements and help for getting speakers and that sort of thing. So, what allies did you manage to build?
At the University of Windsor, I think our main supporter was the MSA. And outside of campus, we had a lot of support. I guess I'm not sure. Mohammed Al-Muayyad, I'm not sure if you know him. I think no, actually you do. Yeah, Mohammed Al-Muayyad.
He's been on here.
Yeah, Mohammed Al-Muayyad was an executive member of CIC, the Canadian International Council, and I guess so. Since he was an executive member, he was able to get their support. And we had a couple other larger Palestinian organizations throughout Windsor that were also able to give us their support. So it was both on and off campus that we were getting support. But other than that.
And we'd also like to give a shout out to Ali Sharif. He was very supportive. He got us a lot of endorsements. He helped us out a lot. He'd keep in contact with us, make sure we were on track. So we just like to say thank you.
Yeah, he's a bedrock in the Arabic community. I've met him a couple of times.
Strong activist, good guy.
Yeah, and good connections for things like posters.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And then I'm wondering about what obstacles you might have encountered. You've already touched on trying to determine a title, and the university administration had something to say about it.
Yeah, well, obstacles where it was kind of inside, like an inner circle obstacle where we were afraid that the message was going to get tainted, where we're going to be taken as, sympathizers towards terrorism, any kind of terrorism. That was our main obstacle, was trying to make sure that people understood that what we were doing is a humanitarian cause and we do not support any political movement. We just want rights for the Palestinians, the Israelis, anybody living within that territory. Our obstacle, we actually thought, this goes another shout out to the JSA. We met up with them. I met them at one of their talks with the IDF, and Hajar was looking at me angry because I was supposed to walk out, but I didn't. I stayed and I talked to him, and we made a friendship, and they've been uncannily supportive of us, and it's good, and I'm happy, and we've made some nice ties with them, and they're good people.
So that we're talking about the Jewish Student Association, and you mentioned the Muslim Student Association too, as a couple of allies that you made. Hagar, how do you feel about that kind of ally building? I have two separate questions I thought I might hit you with, but how do you feel about?
Well, it's good that we're going out and we're trying to get as many support groups as we can and endorsements. We've been able to have the Windsor Workers Action Center alongside with us. We've had Women in Solidarity with Palestine, which is great, and Center for Studies in Social Justice. So we have people in general learning more about this, more people aware of the Palestinian Human Rights Week that's going on, and that's fantastic.
And I followed this story and the flotillas, and I'm not rooted in the community at all, but that's how I look at it. It's a human rights issue that I can identify with, from what I understand of the world in general. So whenever we talk about Palestinian human rights, inevitably it comes up that, you're being anti-Semitic or racist or calling for the obliteration of Israel. And I was wondering how do you answer those critics?
Well, actually, just today in the booth outside where we were setting up, and a girl came up and she was saying, well, if you're anti-Zionist, you're anti-Jewish. And we're like, no, totally two different things. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Judaism. We're not anti-Semitic. We are Semitic. It's two very different things, and you have to distinguish between the meanings and definitions in order to start dialogue. And I think that's very important to do.
And that's the tough part, right? Is to talk. People tend to shy away from labels, or they become like flashpoints, like Zionism, anti-Zionist, anti-Jew, anti-Judaism, what have you. So this is an effort to take a look at the labels and start to, as they say in academics, to unpack them. I love that term. You take an idea, unpack it, see what it really means, and that way, supposedly, you'll come to a better understanding.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the point of this whole week, I take it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's what we'll be able to reach by the end of the week, and hopefully we'll have a better understanding, less tension within the community in general, and hopefully we can move forward from there to have more activities later on and more support from the community at large.
So we've taken a look at the why and the wherefore kind of thing, so I thought maybe we take a look at the week and it kicks off on Monday, March 5th. I don't know where I got 28th from. So on Monday at 5 o'clock is the movie Occupation 101. And what can we say about that movie? I know it's screened in the city here and there, but I don't know if it's screened on campus yet.
Well, Occupation 101, from what I know and from what I've watched, it's showing the Palestinian side of the situation, of the crisis. So I guess it goes through the West Bank and Gaza and what's going on in there, and it shows the Palestinian perspective on what's going on. Right afterwards, though, we have defamation. It's on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, room G133, and defamation is more of the Israeli side. Why? Because the thing is, when you look at it, you have the Israelis that are like an entire population that isn't isn't rooted in the military, that feels like they're in the right, and this is their homeland, and that they are justified to be in this land. So that you have to wonder, why is that the Israelis think this way? So obviously, you can't support, or you can't be. I guess you have to look at both perspectives, right? So in that sense, we're showing defamation to see why is that the Israelis think the way they do. So there's actually a man, he's a Jewish man, he records his entire documentary, and then we go through it. So those are the two movies that are really essential to kind of get a basis on the situation, and then after that we have speakers and whatnot.
Now, I'm really interested in the movie Defamation, both of them, and so that's Monday night is Occupation 101, and that kicks off the week. Tuesday is Defamation at 5 p.m. And I'll remind listeners too, we'll have all this linked on the blog, windsorshakeup.wordpress.com. And then Tuesday night there's a speaker, Richard Forer, at 7 p.m. And I looked him up because the name sounded familiar, but I don't think I've seen or read his work, but the name certainly sounded familiar.
Richard Forer is a former AIPAC member. So AIPAC is, actually we looked at the acronym, so it is American Israeli Public Affairs Committee.
Yeah.
And
it's a huge political influence in the United States.
It's the largest Israeli lobby group in North America. So he was actually part of that, and then he flipped, and now he's a big supporter of the Palestinian cause. So he's coming, and it should be great. So whoever can make it out to that, you should definitely try to.
Yeah, great. It sounds like a great speaker. And then on Wednesday, Yves Engler will be here, and he's been in Windsor. Man, the guy's a prolific writer and researcher. So he's here on Wednesday, and somehow you managed to get Yves Engler and Norman Finkelstein on the same day. So bring your brain on Wednesday night for sure, because it's going to be stretched. And Yves, I think he's also here to talk about a new book that is about Canada's foreign policy under Lester Pearson. But that night, will he be talking, because he's written extensively on Israel-Palestine. So will he be speaking about Israel-Palestine or more on his book?
He's coming mainly to criticize Canadian foreign policy and how it supports Israel. Just give the listeners a fact, in 2008, during Operation Cast Lead in Gaza, most of the UN abstained from voting support towards Israel. Canada was the only country in the world to support Israel and its attacks on civilians in UN buildings, UN schools, UN hospitals with white phosphorus. And that just shows how our foreign policy has shifted from a peacekeeper to a war maker.
Coincidentally, I even hesitate to call him Prime Minister, but Prime Minister Harper, you were going to say it, right? He was meeting Benjamin Netanyahu today, and they're talking about warmongering against Iran. These two guys, I don't care what nationality Benjamin Netanyahu is, but the guy is posturing for war, and our Prime Minister is right in there with the same thing, and it sounds like he's playing off. So it's trying to pressure Obama in the United States, who, from what I read, wants. Well, I'll let you.
Well, no, I just thought if you're going to be calling for peace, you don't go and try to try to get into a war with another country. Well, you try to go through peace through other means, not war.
Take care of your own backyard before you go into somebody else's.
Yeah, so that's some background. I'll probably link something on there from news reports from today from that visit, because he's just here today and then heading on. Benjamin Netanyahu is just here for the day and then off to the United States to try to, get what he wants. Then on Thursday, Wednesday's Norman Finkelstein, and a lot of people might be more familiar with him. Hagar, what can you say about Norman Finkelstein that people don't know?
He's just a huge controversial speaker, which is, I think that's a good thing if we can get someone like that. You have both sides. If people can then come and talk about their views, talk about what issues they want to talk, like the confrontational issues, and we can go from there. It's great when you have people coming for a discussion.
Also, a little background on Norman Finkelstein. Norman Finkelstein is actually a Jewish professor in Chicago, and just for people that don't know, both his parents were both sides of the family were basically exterminated in the Holocaust. And he says that it's precisely this reason that I support the Palestinian cause, because he points at the fact that what the Nazis did to the Jewish people, it seems that the Zionists are doing to the Palestinians. So I guess he says that he will no longer be silent to what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians.
Now that's I saw the documentary with him in it, and it was very, very dramatic, where people were in tears because they don't want to hear about what the Nazis did, and trying to compare it to what the Israeli army does to Palestinians. However, it's I'm from where I'm sitting, it looks pretty similar, right? If people are being oppressed, there's just different levels of oppression, right? So he's definitely a hard-hitting, blunt character, but then
lots of people love him, lots of people hate him.
That's right. So, but we've got Eve Engler and we've got Richard Forer to kind of leaven it off a bit, right? So people are going to, take some hard stuff away from them, and all you're asking is for people to give it a consideration. I take it, right? I think it's great that the lineup of speakers. Thursday, and there's a great poster, and it's already on the blog. If you're looking for more information right now on your near computer, just look for windsorshakeup.wordpress.com, and the posters on there with all the itinerary for the week. And then that brings us into Thursday. There's another movie, The Iron Wall, that'll be shown at Toldo. So I'm not familiar with that one.
It's actually our president suggested it, Mohammed Al Muayyad. He's in Ottawa. I think he's on his way back maybe today. Yeah. He suggested it. He said it was a very emotional movie. It shows the Palestinian side in full light. It's kind of similar to Occupation 101, but it goes more in depth.
Okay. And then after that movie is screened, there's a discussion/debate, different Palestinian perspectives.
It's going to be between the executives, and we're going to have kind of a question and answer thing, and just so people can get to know each individual's views on what should be going on there, what solutions we agree with, what we don't agree with.
Okay.
Just a little argument between the execs.
No. With the other speakers, will there be a chance for question and answers as well?
Yes, we're
with Norman.
With Norman for sure. There's going to be question and answer. All of them, hopefully. Eve's might be cut short a bit because we're going to have to run to Finkelstein after that. Richard Forer for sure will be open to questions and answers.
Sure, so that's the night before.
Yeah.
And of course, Eve Engler and Norman Finkelstein are in the same. They're in the same venue, just different times. So I suppose there's the possibility they might even hang together for a question and answer.
Yeah,
maybe. These are all busy people, so it's hard to nail them down. It's great that they're here. So that's Thursday. Then Friday, March 9th, 3 p.m. in the Biology Building is Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Workshop. And I know, Hagar, you wanted to kind of talk about that. That's another flashpoint because people, they get somewhat upset with the whole idea of boycotting, and it's worked most famously probably with the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. I think you're still fleshing out that particular workshop.
Well, that's what we're inspired by, the whole movement in South Africa, and hopefully we can implement that here. Basically, it's not trying to boycott the Jewish people, obviously. We're more, okay, let me say this. We're opposing the government's policies of ethno-racial segregation and apartheid. So hopefully with that, we can tell people what things we can boycott and actually take action. It's a more active role than the whole week you're going to be listening of, okay, this is what's going on, this is the history, and on Friday you can feel like you're taking an active role in helping the Palestinian people.
Yeah. And then anything that's termed a workshop, so I imagine it'll be kind of a panel discussion and.
Definitely, yeah. We're gonna have a panel, and we're gonna have question answers. We're gonna have ways of you can take actions, and hopefully people can come out and then see what it is we're doing that day.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a great itinerary. So what are your hopes for? It's a tough question to ask, really, but well, it's easy to ask, but tough to answer. But what do you hope will come out of this? Obviously, this will be the first annual, let's say. But what do you hope will come out of this week?
Well, mainly, I just want to educate students so they can know what's going on there, and just to express to the people that this is what's going on, and it's being hidden from people. The media doesn't portray it fairly, and Hussam also has some insights on this.
Yeah, well, most of Western culture is more apathetic to what's going on in the international politics. So what we're trying to do is educate, like Mohammed said. We're trying to educate the people within at least the University of Windsor what's going on in the Middle Eastern politics, so that I guess people can stay up to date, stay more motivated, and that we can build some sort of momentum that we can carry throughout the summer, and then hopefully into next year back to Palestinian Human Rights Week, or maybe we can actually change it back to Israeli Apartheid Week next year. I don't know, but so that's the bottom. That's what we're trying to. What's what we're trying to accomplish in the Palestinian Human Rights Week? Just raise awareness and then build some momentum so that we can carry through to the next year.
As well, just showing, because we had Hajar had some students come up to her. Well, what can we do? Also, with the BDS workshop, we can show them that the economic pact on Israel and its policies can help change some things.
There's some pragmatic. It's a pragmatic way of looking at how to deal with the situation in Palestine, or the conflict between Israel and Palestinian people.
Hajar, any last words? I know you were talking about how it was a small executive, and then all of a sudden people were coming on board. So how did that make you feel?
I was very inspired. I was very happy that people started coming. They were very enthusiastic to join the team, and actually put effort into this. And they're very excited for next week, and they're putting a lot of work in it. So I can't wait till next week to see how it comes out.
Yeah, it'll be pretty exciting to see how it all falls out. So, I just want to thank the three of you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
pleasure.
we'll follow along this. Well, we're every Friday, so by the time our next program rolls around, even the boycott, divestment, and sanctions workshop will have wrapped up. So I'll probably be around, maybe get some audio for how some of the sessions went, and we'll hopefully have some audio from it for the program next Friday. Then.
That'd be great.
Thanks very much again for coming in.
All right.
Mohammed, Hussam, and Hajar, all students here at the University of Windsor, I wanted to be sure to say, and doing some important organizing on campus. It's great to see. And just kind of on a related note, I was upstairs and there was a young fellow, because the campus elections are on, right? And he was going from table to table with a pamphlet it was very different looking pamphlet. He put some real thought into it, and introducing himself to everybody at the table. And I guess out of fairness, his name is John and he has a hyphenated last name, but I haven't talked to any of the other candidates. But I know from my own experience, it's one of the most difficult things you can do, to organize on campus and to run and for election, and to go to where people are sitting and they're having a meal and you think they're just doing their own thing, and you feel like you're interrupting, but you feel like you have to, right? Because you're trying to get things done and make a difference. So there he was out campaigning, and I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not taking any courses this year, so I can't vote for him, but I would if I could. And then you all are doing some important organizing on campus, along with many others. But for a while, I think on campus there wasn't a lot of activist activity going on, and it is now. So it's great to see. So we're going to take a